you.
How goes
Um,
it?
I just heard you mention it, so I wanted to ask to clarify this because I heard many people talking about that, but I'm not sure if everyone goes through this experience of flatness like that 2D and that screen. And is that for everyone? And is that like an indication of Feather 6? Or is that visual field can shift in different ways as well? And also, once that flatness and 2D and everything's here, does that goes back into
Mm.
distance
Yeah,
perspective?
I don't think we all experience everything the same way. I know that some people say that there's like hallmarks and you have to experience this, otherwise you have not experienced it correctly. I don't believe that we are like that. I believe we're so different. And I believe the experience of flatness can vary from person to person. Some people see it literally as everything is flat. Like you're sitting and watching a movie and it looks like there's depth in the movie that you're watching, but when you're sitting and watching, you can become aware of the screen that you're watching on, and all of a sudden everything that looks flat just looks like it has depth. It just looks like it has depth. It doesn't have the depth anymore. For some people, the six feather feels like that you can walk in and out of it, that I can look at the wall right now and now I see dimensions, but now it's just flat. Now it's just like a screen. It could just as well be a movie screen I'm looking at. So you can walk in and out of it. For some, I had a brain injury at some point, and for 4 years, 5 years, everything was two-dimensional. I could not see depth because that part of the brain was injured. So for some people, it's like that all the time, or it stays for longer. But I don't believe that all of us have the same experience.
I actually, my inclination with all of this is that because people will ask too, like, why does seeing in two dimensions, what does that have anything to do with awakening? Like, it seems like a silly kind of thing.
Mm.
And really my inclination is that when okay, going for a moment to the scientific kind of explanation, right? A lot of the brain regions which seem to be correlated with creating a sense of self also seem to be the ones which are related to creating our sense of depth and our sense of perspective and our placement in the world. So when those are deregulated, like the default mode network, for instance, when people do a lot of meditation, they have insights, it tends to be turned down. You tend to have these kind of experiences. So if that scientific basis is true, that is one possible explanation for why things are the way they are. I think taking it outside of the scientific realm, when people have these uh, awakening experiences, a lot of times they will come with those kind of hallmarks where all of a sudden I have disappeared, everything looks different. It looks flatter, or it looks like all the objects are suddenly looking at me. All of these different experiences are there. And I think what we're actually doing when we are pointing directly to a sixth fetter experience of how to see the world two-dimensionally, or how to turn around that sense of perspective, is effectively reverse engineering ourselves into awakening. It's like we're walking our way back to right now. It feels like I'm a little located self. I'm here, the wall is there. Okay, so we start from that point, and then we say, can you see how we can sort of open things up and expand things and see the world coming closer and change that? And in changing that sense, it starts to change the way that we feel about ourselves here, located at this one spot in the world. And we're effectively undoing that binding of selfing or witnessing from the opposite direction. We're kind of reverse engineering our way into it. And I think it's hard to say then how much of it is necessary, how much of it is just one more useful tool to excavate parts of the self that we've taken to be solid and us and true, and how much of it is just something which is a temporary manifestation for people, that you could have, dropping of all sorts of identification
Mm.
and awakening, and that might not ever be a part of it. Like I had said to Pernilla at one point, I don't remember in any of the, like, growing up hearing Zen stories, but like all of the like Zen teachings that I had read and all of the Buddhist stories that I had read that describe awakening so much, none of them ever talk about the world suddenly becoming flat and close and all of the weird three-dimensionality stuff. And it's like, was that just not experienced, or was that a further thing beyond the initial kensho that they're talking about? Like, we don't really know, but it's interesting that some traditions put a lot of stock on this
Yeah.
collapsing of the visual field and this field of
Audio field,
three-dimensionality and
yeah.
the auditory field, and some of it make no mention of it whatsoever on the awakening path. So
I do also think there's something about that when you really become aware, like we talked about previously, that when you really become aware that what the mind perceives is not reality, it's just what the mind perceives. It just puts you in a position where you no longer believe anything you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch.
yeah.
You have a healthy critical experience of it, not absolutely sure what it is you're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And then suddenly you can turn your eyes and everything is just, seen behind the eyes. It's no longer out there.
Yeah.
It's like you experience the circuitry in the brain going, and then you see your sofa in here. It's not there. It just becomes like clear somehow that whatever the brain thinks it perceives, it's just what the brain thinks it perceives. Is not what is actually there.
It's just because, like I heard like people saying this 2D and this flatness and all this, and then also I heard Angela saying, it's not for everyone. So, and then because with this like boundaries are kind of thinning out. In my case, it feels like all senses like blending into one experience.
Yeah.
Like it's it's like a visual field is just like body is a visual field, and body is sensation, and visual field is sensation, and sound is sensation, and sound is body sensation, and taste is the same place. Everything is just like here, everything like one, like
But
that way. And
but
sometimes something moving, and it just like feels like through me, and everything is happening like within me, even like you can't find boundaries where this me ends. So that's why I'm just like,
have you have you done the exercises in the six feather where, for example, if you look at something in front of you right now, it goes for everybody here. If you look at something that's in front of you right now, I look at a speaker, for example, and it looks like the moment I look at it, I see that is a speaker. My brain is putting a label on saying that is a speaker. And my brain knows what a speaker looks like. So now I'm making that into what my brain thinks a speaker looks like. But if I really look more into it, I start to see things that my brain forgot actually could be on a speaker. So, for example, we were sitting outside in the garden the other day, and we were looking at the leaves, and we could see the cloud between the leaves and the branches. And suddenly, the clouds was not behind the leaves and the branches; it was a part of the leaves and the branches. Because when you no longer have the brain telling you that the clouds are behind, there's nothing that makes it not part of. So, for example, if you look at the thing in front of you, if you look at all the things around the thing you looked at, like Todd was pointing to before, with that we have this sense of self of this is where I look. If you look at the periphery instead, then suddenly that is kind of like flat part of what you were looking at. That is difficult to explain.
Can I try, Pernilla? Can I try? Like if I'm looking like this,
Yeah.
boxed way, it is very like focused way of vision, like on very um contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if there is a wee bit of relaxation, it's kind of not, it's not blurry, but it's kind of like blurs into one.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's like dimension. It's not like there is no dimension, but it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And like it's like things are on top of each other, but it's not like flat completely. That
Yeah.
type of, and it's blurs, like it's not even blurry, it's not the right word, but it's like soft, like picture softens kind of, and that's like, it's just one visual perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can think that is TV, that is clock, that is this, that is that, but without thinking, it's just like
Everything is flat. It's
No,
like
and
it's like all of us sitting and looking at you. Everything that we look at is completely flat. It's just the mind that makes it look like the pillow is behind you. But if all of you look at Anna right now, and then that gestalt that the brain does that makes the pillow behind Anna, remove that gestalt. The pillow is not bigger than what you can see. And the thing you can see sticking up to the other side, that's actually Anna's ear that
yeah,
is sticking
she
up.
has a little gray ear
There's a
sticking
little
out of
gray
her
ear
hair.
sticking up there. So everything we look at when we look at Anna is completely flat. She's not sitting in front of the sofa. That part that looks like a sofa she's sitting on, if you remove the gestalt, it's something that is part of her shirt. You see what I mean?
yeah. So
That you can instead of believing the gestalts that the brain keeps creating, then do not take it as truth.
Another way I would say, just before we leave that, and while we're all still staring at Anna, is notice that there is nothing in that visual field, in that whole image of on the screen, that is made of a different substance or a different material than anything else, right? So what we take to be the face and hair and pillow and metal lamppost and wall and all of that, the mind has to add all of that, all of the texture, all of the assumptions of what this might feel like and that might feel like, and what the texture is and what material it might be made of. In the visual field, absolutely everything is made of that same unspeakable, indefinable substance.
same as taste and same as sound and same as body sensations and same as
Exactly.
feeling like I am or presence, whatever this is, same as even thought is the same substance
Yeah.
as no substance.
Exactly.
Is
Precisely.
that Gilstad? That's what you were saying. Is that what one day when I was walking and there and just my mind just went like, oh, I never actually experienced that roundness of the body or roundness of a tree or a depth
Yeah.
of a water. It's just like anywhere I looked, I was just like, oh my gosh, there was something about hearing. Oh, my ears. You don't experience ears and
Yeah.
things like that. That's when the brain just like looked around and just like noticed itself how much it's adding, everything
Yes.
adding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I remember when I came home and I'm looking out in the house and I can see there's staircases and rooms divided and like internal walls and all house shape here. And like I can see what cushions it's filled with, and like there is a box sitting there. I never even looked in that box, but I know exactly what is there in that box. So that's a
Yeah.
guilt shot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely.
Okay,
That
thank you.
filling in of anything that we can't physically see with our eyes or know with our raw experience.
Mhm.
We're putting that in with the mind. We're filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
I remember when I was walking, I was passing the water and I noticed, oh, like there is that look goes into water and it's like approximately calculating the depths of it, and it even knew it's wet and it's even knew a temperature of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
The mind is a wonderfully creative organ. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. But it leads us into so much false belief because we don't, it's fine that this happens, right? Like it's fine to assume when we're walking around a car that the rest of the car probably exists. It's fine to when we see you sitting there to assume that you probably have a torso and legs and everything else. That's fine. The problem is that we take a lot of these things as uninvestigated assumptions that we just take to be truth.
Yeah.
And that ends us up into all sorts of stereotypes and bigotry and assumptions of how life should be and misunderstandings, and it leads to so much issue in our life if we don't acknowledge how much the mind is filling in, and that mind is filling it in based off of our own bullshit backpack, our own beliefs, our own biases that are baked in. So we're never really filling in with the truth of what is there. We're filling in with our biased perceptions of what we think the rest of the world is made of. And that's where it can really lead us into problems.
It's anything is based on previous experience, like imagine that what it possibly is, and like that's what it is, and giving it out that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
One day when I was walking and there were butterflies like around, small ones, and then one butterfly passed just along legs, but it just happened so quick, so brain couldn't make anything out of it, and it was like a blurry, like black, shapeless something. There was no contrast in that, and it's just like, oh, okay, because it didn't have enough time to make up something. And then you look at butterfly, so this one must be the same one.
Yeah,
Completely.
exactly. That and that happens when you start to be curious to all the things that your mind is telling you. When you no longer believe in what the mind is telling you as truth, you start to get those black spots, or you start to get the morphings of things because you no longer believe in whatever the mind is telling you that something is. You question everything.
And also when you walk somewhere, and like if you just walk and just look quickly and keep walking, it's just like, oh, there is a tree, there is a leaf, and it's green. But if you look like another couple seconds, you keep your look on it, then you see like more details start to appear into visual.
Yeah, completely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.
So much. So
Thank
good seeing
you.
you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Thank you.